helper. You are the triune God and you are sovereign. No one can tell you what to do. No one gives instructions to you to obey. Your words are for us to obey. Father, this morning we have gathered together here again for our sitting to discuss matters, issues of national importance to your people here in Papua New Guinea. We pray for the guidance of you, Holy Spirit, and your wisdom with which we can deliberate on matters on this floor this morning. Bless the Speaker, bless the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. Bless government ministers, bless the government backbenchers. Bless the opposition leader and those of us in the opposition. We only exist on the floor of this parliament by name, but we are all one, leaders that you appointed to be seated on these seats that belong to you. Father, this is our prayer, that you will be with us throughout this morning. In your most precious name, Jesus, we offer this prayer, and every one of us together agree and say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Honourable members, I have to inform the Parliament that I have, in accordance with Section 110 of the Constitution, certified 6 acts made by the National Parliament. A list of these acts will appear in today's minutes of proceedings. Petitions, notices. Before you may go to ask him, you know, talk sabe longan popular 10 minutes. Yeah, like talk sabe lo you all honorable members na all visitors is tablo gallery. Usat you got mobile phone, please put him long silent mode or flight mode or display. Ask him, you know, talk sabe popular 10 minute. Honorable member must be noticed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question Blumi Noga Tok Sawe Milagas Kim Long, Education Minister. Before me asking Milak Tok, thank you, Prime Minister. Marvin Basil government lo put in pre-education. Blow you me lo this country. Time me talk pre-education and all pignini like all school. All Pignini has been turned away for Project Peace. Na amin na 7 papers na interest, blood is la pre-education. Also na milag ask him, Education Minister lo clear him, this la Project P. It's a mass Project P or I mean both set him or one school only set him or I must talk clear so that our kids are not sent back to their parents. Na mi tu sawe also all power mama tu got responsibility. Lo meeting some la cost to also Project P. Sabas Project P emi anda bino na pay molgada. Only can pay him half or kind of them. But it's no good. sending the kids back home because all in a payment this is project fee. So, Mr. Speaker, question blomi and symbol na crystal clear. Also, na like minister must talk sawe because school let me start finish. Some like come back because this is a project fee only put him lo one school. Also, na me ask him minister lo talk sawe lo this is parliament na all can look sawe long all the schools lo country blow me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Me kissing time long talk. Thank you long. Memorable noticed. Papa Grand blow this area, lo city. Lo ask him good, ask him. Number one, before me answer him the question, me talk thank you long. Pangu-led government na government blow Marape Basil. Lo kissing this time and first of its kind. Lo pay him all school fees inside the country last year, now this year. Before the school even start. So plenty time, you miss our all school fees. Lo number belong all moon na terms. But me thank you long government, he committed, lo promise belong in. On behalf of Papa Mama, now education department, all school beginning, me thank you long pay school fees on time. Long answering question belong good member. Long 2022 project fees are allowed to be paid by our parents. Only the authorities concerned, National Education Board, the Provincial Education Board, he authorized him all school fees. In all school yet, in all principal yet, or in all teacher, only charge him all project fees. So, project fees, overcharging of project fees are not allowed. It is illegal. All principals last year, people have been investigating all. Now people have been suspending all, now charging all. This government is committed by its commitment to ensure our parents are not excessively charged. We are taking the burden out of the parents and creating more rooms and opportunities for our students, leaving no one behind. That is the government's priority by educating our students. So that's why government and me feeling of some education for all in the community, in the disadvantaged districts and provinces. So we are prioritizing this year, going forward, education being the priority. And overcharging of project fees is illegal as we speak. I have instructed Teaching Service Commission and Education Department. Our inspectors are the only legitimate authority to charge teachers and principals don't follow the Education Act. So people from Papua New Guinea, now members of this House, I want to assure you that excessive fees are not allowed by law. The principals who are doing that are defying the authorities' instructions, and those who are doing so will not run away. Time will catch up with them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You may get supplementary, honourable member. One of supplementary blue.
Mr. Speaker, can the good minister highlight how much is going to be charged as project fees throughout the country, so that you may all get clear, because every different schools are charging different fees, or some project fees. Some play hand up to master, some play, or some. Most of it is very, very high project fees. So you get some standard rate where all can charge him law country, now can charge him inside law his province or maybe like an organize sawe lords la. Na country 2 by sawe or Pamama 2 by sawe na. They will stick to that amount as project fees. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good asking. Supplementary. Project fees are paid using the guideline. And we have 3 set guidelines. Number 1, schools must have a SLIP plan program. SLIP stands for School Learning Improvement Program. That all schools sit down Guatemala Board of Management, parents, they all agree and design the project. Number 2, there must be a project plan. Number 3, the school must have a scope and budget for that particular project. And that plan, sleep plan, must be approved by the authorities. The education department must approve him. Okay, based on that, they have to also follow the guidelines of the school project fee that the National Education Department and the PAB is alluding to. Now, these are the maximum fee limits that the PBs are supposed to apply in your districts and provinces. In elementary, project fees are 20 kina. Primary school, 60 kina. Secondary school, 220 kina. Vocational schools, 200 kina. And for forward programs, 20 kina per subject. Now special education, 40 kina. Time now got free education come up. All schools, charging more extra fees. Now we're looking for some wallet blown, account blown, they pull up. Only excited more, more money. So they will not go run away. We got inspectors now on the ground to check on them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have another supplementary. Honourable Member, what's your supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, my supplementary question is in relation to the project fees. The Ijibitari District Development Authority has passed a resolution to assist parents that can't afford the project fees. So where mipla by helping all parents now pay more project fees blow beginning blow or go to high school or secondary school. The issue that I'm having also is that whilst the district is ready to support, can the minister just confirm whether some of the funding that is, I believe the funding is split into 3 elements. One is for the school fees, one is to support in terms of infrastructure, and one bit is to assist the school with materials na kind something else. So there is a indication that some of that component will be paid either to the provincial government or the district in order for us to pay the schools. Can the minister confirm that if that is the case, is this part of that project funding that will be used? When MIPLA can then look long make sure that when the district is also assisting, we can take that into consideration now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
And I thank the member for Ijibitari for a good question. This year, the government has budgeted 632 million school fees, and 80% of that one is a cash component or paid directly to school account that I've just mentioned, and 20% is for the commodity component, and it's further break down to 20%. 15% is for the commodity, and 5% is for the science laboratory that we're setting up in various schools, and it's an ongoing program. Now, this project fee is not associated with this one. That's an extra under the SLEEP program that the parents and the board has to, as I've said earlier on, they have to agree on this one, and based on plan, they have to follow the set guideline, the minimum that I just alluded to. They have to follow that one and pay. Thank you.
Honourable Member of Lurabal, Deputy Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my questions are for the Minister for Justice to answer. On the 27th of January 2022, the Honourable Minister for Justice released a press statement regarding payment of millions of kina in salaries and allowances to foreign nationals employed as consultants by the National Judicial Staff Services, NJSS, and he undertook to conduct an investigation into these massive payments. The first question is, can the Minister inform this Honourable House if his department has commenced with the investigation, and if so, what is the outcome? Second question. The Minister also stated in his press statement that the consultants were receiving up to 2 million kina a year on salaries and allowances alone, and are paid 3 to 4 times more than the judges of the National and Supreme Courts, and much, much more than the Prime Minister and members of Parliament. If this is true, is payment of such exorbitant salaries consistent with the government of Papua New Guinea's salary scale? Third question. It was also reported that the contracts were not approved by the National Procurement Commission and were found to be illegal by the state solicitor. If so, is the relevant government agencies responsible for public services salary, like the Salaries Conditions Monitoring Committee, SCMC, and the Department of Personnel Management, doing anything to address it, including taking the necessary actions to terminate the contracts? Final question. According to the newspaper report, the consultants were paid in Australian dollars, and their salaries were paid into their overseas accounts in Australia, New Zealand, and the Cayman Islands, a tax haven. Is that not in breach of our tax laws and money laundering laws? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to acknowledge the questions asked, I believe, by the Shadow Minister for Justice, the Attorney General. The questions he asked, firstly, in relation to whether the official investigation has commenced. So my department has been instructed to carry out investigation into this matter to establish whether administrative guidelines and legislative guidelines were complied with in the awarding of these contracts. So this initial complaint came to my office by way of a written complaint as the chairman of JLSC concerning contracts that were recently awarded within the judiciary to overseas consultants. And that complaint was also attached with a report that raised the specific issues of the amounts being paid, also foreign contractors and payments being made overseas. So that investigation is not complete, to respond to the question. It is still ongoing, and once complete, then a decision will be made in relation to what course of action will be taken. On the issues of the public service, it's important to note that these contracts were paid for private consultancy services, so would not fall under the regulation of public service. So there was a query raised with the state solicitor to seek clearance concerning whether or not these contracts had complied with the legal and lawful procurement processes, and advice, I understand, provided by the state solicitor is that they exceeded the threshold within the jurisdiction of the judicial services to execute those contracts, and provided advice to whether to renegotiate the contracts down within the threshold or to call for public tender on those contracts. The concern is here, one is obviously the manner in which the contracts were approved, and further the amounts involved in these contracts. Now, there are specialized skills of experts around the globe that the state may engage from time to time, be it in oil and gas, be it in any new legislative areas like carbon credits. And these experts will attract a significant fee, but the justification would be on a short-term contract, where they might come and apply on a 3 to 6 month, provide that expert opinion and advice, and the contract will only be within the 3 to 6 months. These contracts were extended over a period of, I think, 8 to 9 years. So that's another contentious issue that we're looking at. What is the justification? What were the terms of reference for the engagement of these contracts? What were the specific outcomes of these contracts? Why were they continually renewed? Is it necessary to renew these contracts? And also, why were they not advertised for Papua New Guineans or experts or other experts like we have under the EU Or why did we not engage these consultants through existing EU programs where they pay for the contracts and we don't have to meet the cost? And the last question is in relation to termination of the contract. So once the investigation is complete and it is confirmed that there was non-compliance with the legislative procedures, then yes, then a decision will be made by DJAG and through the government to actually terminate these contracts. Thank you.
Honourable Member of Long Rigo.
Recognizing the people of Rigo for giving me this opportunity to ask a question without notice. And I guess in the context of the question I'm going to ask, that's also giving recognition to the East